Reactor online. Sensors online. Weapons online. All systems nominal.
Good morning, Mechwarriors and Fellow Gamers. This is Commander Hollow. Welcome back to the Mech Bay. Alright, so we are still working on the Death Commandos version of the Emperor and the Pillager for the Capellean Confederation. I think we're going to move on to start working on applying the green highlight sections. For that, we're going to be using two different types of green. First is we'll zoom in on that, the Hunter Green from Craftsman, which is a matte, and then the Grass Green, which we're going to use to just bring out a little bit of edge highlight. So to start, we'll pour ourselves a bit of this green here. And wow, it kicked off a bit of a little chunk. We'll put that aside, toss that later. And you know, I think this tray is getting close to needing to go, but oh boy, this bottle's just about empty too. This is one of the most common colors that I use, most frequently used. Now we're going to sort of start, I think we'll start on the Pillager. Now we want to select, you know, enough to definitely convey the idea that it's part of the same unit as, you know, our two target examples that we're working with. So we want it to be, you know, predominantly black, but with some of these green highlights in it. You know, that's what we're looking for. So I have a couple of ideas. I think, you know, and I think as long as you keep the ratio right, you know, what is this, about 5 parts black field to 1 part green, maybe, you know, no matter which angle you look at it, you should be able to tell, you know, these are the color schemes. So that's what we're going to be working towards. Now to start, I think we're going to use the same knife edge brush we've been using. I know that's not the right term for it, flat edge, but darn it, I like that knife edge brush. It sounds good. It sounds dangerous. I'll paint you and maybe cut you. So just to give it a little character, we're going to do this section here. There we go. Yeah, that looks good. We'll keep going on this idea. Oof. Man, I am a little clumsy today. I keep bumping this camera stand. You know, I think we could probably... That's a tough one, this little spot here. I think that might be good. I don't know that we want to do much else on it. Now you'll notice that the green goes on a little bit brighter. then it dries. And when it dries, it tends to be a little on the darker side. But that's good. We want this green to accent the unit. We don't want it to dominate the field here. Even though the Pillager will dominate the field. Alright, and it's got this weird 0 on top, so I think I'm just going to go with that. This is like a raised up section, and you can probably see we've got a mold line cutting through there. If you want, you can definitely remove those mold lines, with a nail file or just scraping it, with a knife. Like an X-Acto blade. But if you're going to use a razor blade or an X-Acto blade, just please be careful, because this plastic is tough to cut. It's not hard to cut. It's just how do I put it? It's like it resists, and then it gives way. All of a sudden, it gives way. And if you're not being careful, it's pretty easy to cut yourself. So just be careful. I know you know how to use a knife. You're a grown-up. All right. I think I'm going to do some of these shoulder parts here. Yeah. Yeah, that looks good. And just because I'm right-handed, we'll flip them over. Do the same thing over here. See, I'm going towards the inside of the body and pulling away from the body. So I have control over how far paint's introduced to the unit. And I can pull away. Yeah, that looks good. Now you can. I chose that panel intentionally because I had already kind of checked it out to make sure that it was, the same panel was there on the front and the back. Just thought it would look more consistent. There we go. And a little upside down time. So this is definitely a moment of less is more, when trying to decide where to put the green highlights or accent parts. That looks good though. That looks good. Now what should we do for this back? We got the piping on the front there. And we'll have to do the legs, but we'll do the legs in a little bit here. First, I just want to focus on this torso section. Yeah, I think we're going to do... just to kind of go with this. Seems consistent with doing the piping on the front. And then we're going to go ahead and do the entire... I don't know what this is. Again, it kind of looks like someone just... It's like, oh, and then we'll have this large flathead screwdriver and we'll just screw together the mech. Your entire mech's held together by 2 flathead screws. But they're really nice screws, you know, they're machine screws, and they're definitely up for the job. But it works, you know, it implies that it is a machine. There we go. There we go. I think that's going to look nice. That'll be all right. We'll do this side a little bit differently. We'll start by painting the side. And we'll kind of come up to the rest of it. Make sure it's nice and sharp with the bristles for that knife edge. All right, that works. Yeah, that works. Now, for the legs, I think, we got a couple different, but you know what I really like? I like these triangular panels. Yeah. And again, we want this to be an accent feature, not the dominant feature. So, you know, some good subtle greebling. But also done in a way as to, you know, not give away the unit until you're really close enough to see what it is that's stepping on you in your house. Like, oh, hey, I didn't know who that was crushing me and my family. But I see a little green accent. At least it was the Death Commandos. Now, it is interesting how when you play some games and you start using additional three-dimensional objects, you know, which usually is in Alpha Strike. That's much more common in Alpha Strike. There aren't too many people that will have, you know, the full 3D setup for a game of classic Battletech, but when you have these additional 3D objects, having a fully camouflaged unit can have some interesting effects compared to having a parade unit. I've seen games where players completely overlook, you know, a very strategically placed opponent's unit and then say, oh, I didn't see it. I had no idea it was there. And I think that's the result of the camouflage effect for some of these. You know, but you don't always know what kind of map you'll be playing on, so you can't always count on it. Alright, I feel like these arms need something. Maybe the legs need a little bit more, I'm not sure yet. You might keep him a little bit more simple. No, but the arms definitely need something. Yeah, because right now when you look at it on the side, you aren't seeing too much. So we have these. So the arms are asymmetrical. I like this little bin here, even though it's supposed to be a large laser. And I don't want to tie it too closely to the I don't know, what are they, claws? We'll call them claws. I'm actually thinking the weapon. What the heck was that? Dropping bits of paint. I don't know. No, I think I know what we're gonna do. This little section here on the arm. It can be seen because it's raised. It can be seen by, you know, front and side. It's separated, so it can exist as its own little thing. Yeah. You know, I think just for consistency, we're going to do something down here too. Yeah. Yeah, that's nice. That's nice. And do a little more. And this is just because, you know, my thought is, even though the mech's standing like this right now, you know, and when it's upright, you won't really be able to see it too well. But when its arms are lowered and it's basically at ease, you would definitely be able to see it from behind. So I think it adds a nice element. And I think that is enough for this guy for you now. So we're going to take that back and we'll start working on the Emperor. The Emperor. I gotta say, I'm a little bit more unsure what to do with this guy. It has definitely a different style. It's more rounded in nature in its appearance. So that is definitely a different look. You know, for this though, I think we'll start. Yeah, I'm sort of tempted to do the You know, it is kind of rounded, and I just feel like doing something a little bit different. So I think we're going to run with this round shape, and we're going to do the joints. We're going to make that the focus of the paint. Because there's a lot of these joint shields, joint covers. And I think we can work with that and make that the focus. And we'll, like I said, we'll be going back and we'll be putting some more black on this. So you don't need to worry too hard if we've got an overpaint situation like that. Although this is some detailed work, so we might want to switch brushes here. I don't know. Okay. I think this is going to end up looking very green on the sides, but it won't be as noticeable when viewed from the front. Oof, this will be a challenge. Oh, man. Boy, oh boy, I can't believe I hit that. That's amazing. I actually got in there, and I'm just, all right. Go me. All right, now we're gonna, this will be easy. Famous last words. All right. Yeah, this is coming together nicely. I like this. All right. Okay, let's do the other side. Okay. And just do a little bit on these edges. Okay. that green, it really lightens when it dries, or darkens when it dries. That is, oof. Oh boy, that hip joint on that other side was hard. This is going to be a peach. Okay. I'm coming at this with a very, almost horizontal to it. Just to keep the paint only on that section. Yeah, so you can see the sides now, very green. Nice little mix. The front, though, still not so much. Now let's make sure we get on the inside of these joints, too. Gotta get up between them legs. Oof. That was kind of brutal. Oh well. Clean it up later. Yeah, these circular joints, they are a challenge. All right. Okay, now the real question is, what are we going to do with the front here? Well, given the main part of the legs are a little bit on the drab side. I think we're going to just do this. Oh, almost forgot. Yeah, you know what? That solves part of the issue. There we go. Just complete this ankle joint and paint all the way to the front there. That's already bringing some of the green out. That's fantastic. That'll work. Let's do that on the back side too. Just make it consistent. That's a good solution. Good solution. Okay, now what? Well, now we're going to have to make some more decisions about these guys. All right, let's do a bit of this. Very good. Okay. You know, just for some giggles here. There we go. I think that's a good balance on the back. That looks nice. Now the front. You know, I'm really torn on what to do with this face feature. Whether I should emphasize it or paint around it and thereby emphasize it. Oh man, do a little more cleanup here on the ankle joint. There we go. All right. I think we'll definitely emphasize this. There we go. Pardon me. So we'll do that. All right, we're gonna try something, and let's see how this comes out. Man, I just can't do it. Just can't bring myself to do it. I don't know that I want to paint too much or emphasize on this, the face on here. It just doesn't seem consistent with what we're doing with some of these other things. Yeah. All right, well, I think we'll go ahead and do some of these arm nubs. Ah, bugger. question now, do we need more? Yeah, I think right now I'm tempted to just say less is more. It's because we have so much on the sides. And a little bit on the front. I think we're gonna hold off on that. I can always go back and add more green. Yeah, but for now, I think we're good. Okay, now, while we're waiting for that to dry, we're going to apply the first part of the cockpits. And to do that, we're going to use these two different paints. The Folk Art Multi-Surface Blacklight, we're going to use that first. And then the Dragonfly Glaze, the Violet Blue Green Shift. We're going to use that to give it some shine and glint. The way you can see, the way the cataphract came out. I'm very pleased with how that looks. It doesn't necessarily photograph very well, but I think the value in that paint job is more about the dynamic look of the glass as you move it around. Yeah, but hey, that's just what I think. Your mileage may vary. Does not take a lot to do this, so we'll do a little dab of that. And we're going to get our, custom cut down fine brush here. Now, we previously added these little white highlights in the cockpit area. And we did that because this purple, it really needs to have something underneath it to come out. And we're just going to put a little bit in there, just so that it's evenly coated in the cockpit area. And we, because we put the white in there already, it's going to do all the work for us as far as creating a fading effect. And same with the Pillager. There's a lot of paint on the brush. That's good, I like that. All right, so easy peasy. I guess technically these will be 3-step cockpits, but yeah, the Emperor is already drying. But I went with the purple here. I thought that would, if you go on the camo specs, a lot of these cockpits for these guys are red, and I like the purple better. I think purple and the green and the black is a nice combo. But again, everyone does it their own way. Okay, let's get. Ooh. Now, just doing a little bit of this grass green. And again, we're going to get out the fine brush. And what we're going to do with the grass green, we're just going to create a little bit of edge highlight on all the sections that we had previously painted green. And we just got this zoned out a little bit here. I guess we could zoom in a bit so you can see more detail. And this, this will also dry a bit later, especially with the black base underneath it. But it will give the unit, it'll give the green section a greater sense of depth. In contrast to the black. Very good. Did we do both sides of this? I don't know. I feel like I didn't do this side, but... There we go. And we're not doing all of it. Ideally, you only want to do the parts that would pick up the most light. So, edges, or the top part of a large field. I'm getting a little shaky here. It's going to be time for breakfast soon, I think. Okay. Even though we won't be getting a lot of light down here, we're going to go ahead and do just a little bit. Just a little bit. So the infantry we step on will have, a nice view right before they're squished into the second dimension. Yeah, okay. So it's popping a little bit more. All right, now. I think you'll find that as you do this, especially if you're doing the grass green shortly after doing the hunter green, that it will actually, they'll kind of naturally blend into each other as they dry, which, again, is great. Let the products do the work for you. And so with these top parts, I'm just treating the topmost area here as the part that's going to need to be highlighted. And just go around. Just pop a little more color on this. All right. Okay. Oh, we got a little off camera again. There we go. And we're going to do just a little bit here as well. And as a lighter color, it will create more contrast with the surrounding darker black field that it has. So, yeah, that's looking good. Oh, I got a little bit on the rear to do. Very good. All right. Pop a little bit on these ankle joints. All right, I think we're good on that. All right. We're going to go on to the glaze now. That should have been enough time for the cockpits to dry significantly. So we're just going to put a little bit in there. Whoa. Too much. Way too much. Oh well. out. Now this stuff comes out a little too thick in my opinion, so we definitely want to add some water and loosen up some of the, lower the surface tension. I think that lets the sparkles in it move a little bit more easily. You can already see it has like a nice sparkle to it, if I can. So we're going to add this to the cockpit really quickly. I can hear my baby girl starting to fuss a little bit, so we'll probably wrap this up after this. You don't want to load it on too heavy. You know, this is a glaze. Alright. Got that. Do a little bit more here. Okay. And I think we are good. I'm going to steal a little bit off this Emperor. And again, we want to make sure you get it on the upper part so that it reflects the light. See, and that now it looks like glass because it reflects differently than the armor does. And that's what we're looking for. So they're really coming together here. I think next time we'll hopefully be able to wrap this up. Thanks again for joining. We'll see you next time.